Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. Bills 40, Carolina Panthers 9. What a score. Postgame did not exactly sound like fans were, as you know, your mom and dad would say, over the moon. It sounded more like, I just feel the problems they're going to have are still their problems. And I don't know why this game would have changed that. I mean, is it just James Cook's team? When James Cook, I just hit the table. Sorry, I wasn't trying. That was not a point of emphasis. Just a random flail. I know the whole thing about like running backs and how their stats correlate to winning, but when he has, if you will, gotten off in games, they've won them all, usually by double digits or 31, also double digits. If he doesn't, they lose. So is this the whole thing? Our game manager quarterback just could be anybody, and it's just like this is all going to – but it is, right? It's all just going to come down to James Cook because that's how they want it.
I don't know. Who's they?
Oh,
good question. I'm not sure. I think right now it is, James Cook is the thing that makes the motor go, and it has been that way. Sorry, I don't want to mix up running back nicknames here because the last guy was Motor. Anyway, Cook makes it go. He certainly did yesterday, and he has, by and large, for really since Joe Brady took over, I guess, been sort of the main engine that drives this thing. But I'm paying particular attention to how Sean McDermott talks about this right now. That's why I say who is they exactly, because
interesting. He
was asked yesterday after the game about like loving running the ball or something, and he said, "I never said that. I think I know the value of having a balanced offense, like an offense that can do all the things." And so I don't know. I feel like that's a subtle acknowledgement, or maybe not that subtle acknowledgement of the frustration he might be feeling with how the passing game still looks.
Or it could just be a line.
Could be. I think he's on team get me a receiver, McDermott. That's what I'm driving at. I've suspected that for a while. I know it's contrary to everything that he has come to represent within the organization, right? Defensive guy. He did supervise the dismissal of Ken Dorsey and the installment of Joe Brady and this offense that has become this style of offense. But I still think he's probably looking at the game back today or last night and seeing a lot of the same things, only with a lot more clarity because he's watching the game tape and he's a football coach. And I'll bet he's plenty frustrated with what their passing offense looks like because their passing offense does not look good.
This is really interesting because we've been here in the same room for all these years, even long before McDermott arrived. I just don't give him that benefit of the doubt. And maybe I should, but we've had these conversations before where I don't believe at all that they're not playing the way he wants. Why would they be playing other than the way he wants? Like that's sort of his image, if not really what he wants from his team. He's just never convinced me as somebody that wants to really open it up. I think Daboll might have a little bit dragged him into that, and it went so well. I mean, Allen being so good, how could you refuse him, in terms of passing volume and quality and all that? All right, if this is how it is, then this is how it is. We're winning all the time. But I don't know. I feel like Brady is, I guess I'm just guessing mostly, but we're also immersed in this every day and listening to every comment and everything. I just can't buy that they're not the team he wants them to be in this way. And I think, he's gotten much more adept at the press conferences where it's like, oh, what do you mean?
Well, he
laughed about it yesterday.
I might need to, fine tune this a little bit because I don't think he necessarily wants them to go back to throwing it 60% of the time or anything. I think the league changed and they reacted, I think, to that change. And I would even say maybe appropriately. But I think I know the value in having an offense that can do, that can run and throw effectively. To me, I think he wants to run. He doesn't want to throw the running game fish back into the lake. He likes that fish. They caught that fish and they are using that very effectively. It's feeding a lot of people. So it's we're talking about everybody eats. I mean, the running game is happening for them. I don't think there's any way you could objectively be satisfied with their passing game. So I don't know. I'm very much on alert for an ad.
Well, this is really another one of these what are we trying to figure out moments. Are we trying to figure out whether they will trade for somebody? You can't figure that out. Whether he wants them to, whether they will. Mm-hmm. Sure. That's easily a conversation worth having. Is he frustrated or whatever you want to call it about what they are? I don't know. Like that's really not so much in the embodiment of McDermott, but this is our conversation every day, every week, every time about just sort of if the Bills, this goes through Bean more than it goes through McDermott, if the Bills are who they want to be. That's it. Like in a nutshell, that's it. Are they who they want to be? And I mean, they lose 2 games. I mean, this is going to be sitting there for you, okay? They lose 2 games. They go to the bye. They come out of the bye, and their running back goes for 216 on the ground. I mean, it's not a fluke. Who you play, game script, I know. Like that. Cook could have gone for 300.
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
If they just kept him in, if Carolina gave him any pushback.
Yeah.
He goes for like NFL record stuff yesterday, maybe. It was so easy.
Yeah. Well, I just think a lot of that does sound like, without being like overly critical of your stance, that just sounds like, to me, a place you stand because it's what we've known from the outside. And I'm not telling you I know anything on the inside. I'm just listening to the guy talk, and I think objectively it would shock me if he's happy with the entirety of their offense right now. I think he has to know he's been in these games. He's seen how they've ended. He's watched his defense get torn apart by Kansas City. I think he may know they're going to have to get better at throwing the ball, and I don't know where those solutions are going to come from. Are there just going to be different things drawn up? Is that going to mean Dalton Kincaid can play more than 20% of the snaps in a given game if his health is up to say? Like, is that what we need? I just think it's hard to objectively look at them and not see a need, and maybe even a crying need for something to jumpstart their pass game. Because what they have right now, if they get into a spot, and I don't want to say when, because you never know. Maybe they could just run it on everyone. Boy, I'm sorry. I just did the thing you did, and I'm not doing it for effect. I don't know. Is something loose today?
I don't know, maybe.
Something feels weird. Anyway, because that was not. I know how to bang this table when I want effect. Anyway.
Well, mine's been coming apart gradually forever. Like there's pieces missing and... I don't know if you have any excuse, but I think I do.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I lost my train of thought because I got distracted by all the noise I made unintentionally.
How do you expect Allen to feel? What is Allen thinking? We're fine?
No.
I mean, the clip right there, it wasn't his whole press conference, but it's like James Cook, let him cook. I mean, that's what he's here for? Allen is just to
Well, I mean, it's not a day where, and I don't know when that day would be, that Josh Allen's going to sit there and say, I need more help in my passing game. So, like, that is never going to happen.
He's never going to say that.
No,
right?
Certainly not publicly.
It's not his style.
But I think I'd be surprised if they haven't already had long conversations with him about what is happening in that part of their offense specifically. And again, I mean, they scored their 40 points. It's not a day for anyone within the team to go on a campaign for what we need and what our shortcomings are. They won 40-9. So
leave that to us.
Right. But I would likewise be surprised if Josh Allen, like if I've got a meter and I'm measuring how much different personalities, different coaches or players want or feel they need some juice somewhere in the offense. I think, McDermott might be like percolating. I think Allen would be almost at a boil already because he does not look himself back there on passing downs when there is time even. Like, I think there's a boy. It sounds like they lost this game already, and I've been talking for 6 minutes. We
know that they didn't.
I think there's a real issue there. I think I'd be very surprised if there's not some frustrated people involved with that passing game. Allen front and center, which is all the more reason why I'm expecting them to go into the marketplace and try to make something happen. Again, I don't know how much we'll find out if nothing happens. Obviously, if they make a move, then we'll know. We'll have a sign. They made a move.
It's next Tuesday.
Right.
Wasn't last year's trade before the deadline?
It was, and the deadline was a couple of weeks earlier. They've moved it back. There had been, for a few years, every year around the time of the deadline, there had been some conversation. Just move it back a little bit. It's a little too early. Teams, fewer teams know they're eliminated. Fewer teams know whether they want to be buyers or not. So they pushed it back. I don't know if it's a week or 2 weeks, but they did. It's never been in November before. It's always been in October.
So what are you hoping they do?
So something that is Rashid Shaheed or higher.
Rashid Shaheed
or higher. I feel like he's my floor. I guess I would consider someone like Jacoby Myers on a floor below that. From an impact standpoint, Shaheed has not been the all-around receiver I think Myers has been in his career, but he does represent an element that they simply do not have in this offense, which is someone to really just get down the field.
Right. Shaheed represents that. Myers does not.
No, right. I think Myers is just kind of like – Myers to me feels like a guy like they already have three of.
Myers is what you do if Shakir goes down for the year or something, like Oliver maybe did. Like you replace him with somebody that can kind of play the same role, but that isn't what's happened. You could be talking about replacing Coleman.
That is mostly what I'm talking about. Replacing him, creating a scenario where he is not the guy who leads them in snaps.
You know what? I guess I have to say I'd be impressed if they did that, because that is a power move. Like that is, it's the opposite of what you would normally hear. Just sort of development and patience and, how many times did Brandon Beane remind us over the offseason how young Coleman is? And this would be like, we don't care anymore. No more questions about his age.
We don't care anymore, or we don't care right now.
Well,
right. But right now, meaning I can choose to care about it again later.
You guys forget. No one forgot. You guys forget he's only 21. No one forgot. We know he's young. That's right. If he's 23, is that different? If he's 24, is that different? If he's, one of these other receivers that gets drafted when they're 2 or 3 years, who cares? Like they're 1 year in the league. You guys, no one forgot. So maybe this would be like you're putting that on hold, I guess. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
They're not going to just cut him.
And maybe that's exactly what they'd be doing. It would not be a good sign for Coleman's development, obviously. But what am I trying to do? Am I trying to protect his his value, his development over making sure I have enough juice to win the AFC for the first time since 1993? I mean, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do that. That's what I'm trying to do. So I know you always have to have these concurrent agendas going, because the team is not always, just always about the singular season that they happen to be in. But I think you got to find a way to better meld those two things. And whatever it means to Coleman's development, I think I have to live with, because if I don't have enough, and I'm running out I got one more game before this deadline, and it's against the Chiefs.
How about that?
Right.
Coincidence.
I think it's called for. I think it's called for, maybe in a way even more so than last year. Just because last year was the first year without Diggs, and you might have felt like a little panicky about it, so you did it. But you're right back in the same spot. Coleman has not taken a step in his development. Curtis Samuel has not emerged and capitalized off of what he accomplished late last season and into the playoffs. The only constant you still have is Shakir, who's very dependable, but just there's a roof on that is not likely to go much higher than it ever has gotten so far. So that's a staple, and it's a very good asset to have. The rest of their receiving core is what? It's dependent on Dalton Kincaid being able to play at this point. And he barely played yesterday. Now, game script maybe
they didn't
need him. So why push it, But I just can't believe a contending level team would look at what their passing offense has looked like here on balance for the whole year. It's not just these last few games and go, we're all set here. I just objectively, this is not like, because a flag got planted back in April or anything. I think you look at this team and think receiver. You watch them play, you think receiver.
Everybody does, except maybe those who work there.
Maybe, but I strongly suspect many people who work there think the same thing.
And don't have the authority
to actually make the move.
To speak up. There aren't that many teams. Okay, the deadline is later, but there still aren't that many teams that I think would be dumping. And then how many of those have somebody you care about? New Orleans is obvious. 1-7. They should be thinking that way, right? They should be.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Like the Giants have Darius Slayton, who's an interesting, I think he's more of an ex-receiver. Like he's interesting. I think he's pretty good, and maybe he's what we want. They've lost Neighbors. They've now lost Scattaboo, if that matters. Their running back. Coach might be coaching for his job, if you will. The quarterback's a rookie. How is it worth it for them to trade anybody they have left? There's always these other variables. New Orleans may be just fine, whatever. Maybe Cleveland is this. Maybe Jerry Jeudy is this. And thanks to him for 0-0-0 yesterday in that game with a losing game script all day. Like that guy might be just a headache. Once in a while he pops, but are we going to the Browns again for their number one guy like last year? There just really aren't that many possible fits. So, we're not here to try to figure out how this is all going to play out. We don't know. But it is interesting that they could win a game by so much and have so many of us still asking the same questions. And it's always interesting to me to think about whether the Bills are asking these same questions. Like maybe they are. I wonder about Allen. I wonder about, you're talking about McDermott, like whether they know they need to fix something or whether they don't think that at all and they think they want to be mad at anybody who does. Since Brady took over in the regular season, they are 23-6. And that includes last year's Week 18 that they didn't care about. 23-6. Do they think they have a problem? My position has been since it started with Brady that they don't. And that's served me okay. Going into last season, then going into this season, do the Bills seem like a team that would want to reinvent themselves? No. They have, been very successful. They lose by a play in the playoffs and they give up 32 points. It's just never seemed, I guess logical enough to me to think that they would want to really just sort of recalibrate their offense. And I think I still want to be there.
I would want to join you there because I don't think recalibrating is different than reinvention. I already said, and strongly, I don't think they would want to run less than they're running. I just think they would recognize they need to be better when they want to throw, when they need to throw.
What's that worth, though, to them in terms of a cost?
It really, to me, depends on availability. I don't know. You want to ask me that question? Because, if the Saints, they're just playing hard to get about Chris Olave, but if you worked in your first-round pick next year, they'd talk to you. then I would want to bring that up. I would want to bring that to the table. That's a young enough player eligible for an extension that, to me, could solve this for the very present right now, which is what matters the most. I'm not against renting somebody that I don't have to commit to and paying a lower price, but I would burn that asset.
What about Brian Thomas? Of course.
Yeah.
Because Olave, I guess, too, but
I would want to make sure
Thomas
that there
rumors.
isn't something else with Thomas, that I'm never going to find out about from out here that explains what's happening. Like, is he just not love football anymore, or is he nightclub guy or something? Like, what's going on really there on the ground in Jacksonville?
They're not going to tell you.
No. But
somebody else has to tell you.
The Bills should be able to find that out. And as long as that is not, that's not a problem, then yeah, same conversation. What is it going to take? I want to get in. I want to get into this car. What do I got to pay you?
We'll keep talking after the break. Part of this is it is about the short term, maybe first, but it's also, these are ideas where you are doubling down immediately
right
on an alpha receiver contract. Which, I mean, if it's not the other thing too, which is the thing that they have publicly avoided. They don't want that. If they wanted that, I think they would have been there by now. They would have said it. They'd be talking about how it's not everybody eats. It's the opposite. One guy eats. That's what they are not about. And any of these trades, not Shaheed maybe, but some of these trades are a seismic shift in philosophy that's more than just I still want to give James Cook 22 touches, but maybe this guy I'm going to trade for is going to be open. I don't think it can be both. I think it has to be a move in a certain direction philosophically, and they just, I think, win too much and too easily to expect that